This is According to Callus, and that is me. Hey, listen, I know that's that cool intro music, and I'm kind of a letdown after that, but here we go. Going forward, we're going to call this Sunshine Monday in honor of all those Sunshine Patriots out there. Yes, that would be the people who, when the sun shines, they're happy to be good patriots. But when the clouds come in, the storm brews, they go back home and hide. Some might know them as cowards. I've referred to that behavior as being pusillanimous. But onward we go. So, in case you aren't aware, the Plano ISD today did pass a mask mandate without a mandate that lasts approximately 30 days. So that if your student is in that school and you don't think they need a mask, you can opt out on it. You are offered all sorts of outs. And then it turns out. Now, unfortunately, if you're a teacher, you may have to wear that thing over your face for whatever good it may or may not offer. And honestly, if you don't like it, those are your compatriots that put you up to that. Those are the people that work with you that requested that and required that. And hey, I'm all about individual sovereignty. I'm all about doing what you think is best for you and your family. And if you want to mask up, then by all means do so. If you want to vax up, by all means do so. But you don't force that on other people. That's the definition of tyranny. Okay, so how does this fit into the Sunshine Patriots? Well, because they didn't get the exact wording that they preferred, some people bemoaned this, and cried. Some people called it a loss. Well, when you get a mandate that's not a mandate, that's a victory, particularly when the school board is stacked against you. Kudos to Cody Weaver for making this happen. Kudos to the other people that pressured and pushed forward on this, because what happens in Plano is coming to Frisco, McKinney, and Allen. To say nothing of Princeton, Farmersville, Melissa, Anna, Prosper, Salina, Wiley, Saxe. Look, I know the world's not perfect. I know that we can't win everything all the time. But when we win, we need to claim that win. But we need to make darn sure it's an actual win and not bemoan a loss for over every little thing that we don't get our way. Hey, the lefties, the progressives, have been excessively successful in their strategy of picking away and eating away and crumbling the society that existed once upon a time. Now, if we're also completely honest, some of that needed to be eaten away. Some of it's rather embarrassing chapter. But overall, we have been on the right side. We have been doing the right things. We just cannot be tossed to and fro by the whims of society. We have to hold true. If we value liberty, then that should be the determining cause. That should be what drives our decision-making process. That and a little common sense. We already know that in the 70s, when they predicted doom, they were wrong. When Al Gore predicted doom in the 90s, he was wrong. When these guys are predicting doom now, they're going to be wrong. The earth is very resilient. The earth pre-existed humankind. It will last until it doesn't last anymore. And humans will have very little, if anything, to do with it. But it is our job to look after it. It is our job to steward it. It is our job to be wise about how we do these things. So that means you just don't dump oil, lead, and coal dust on top of everybody's heads. No. You do smart things, but you also don't not use liquid fuels. You don't not use solid fuels. You don't not use that which is readily available and easy to procure. Now, perhaps if you're thinking forward, you may want to transition out of those things. You want to do the experimentation so that you can do better. But again, this is where those Sunshine Patriots come in. They want to cry and fight as long as it's beneficial and it looks good on TV or on an overpass or even in a city council chamber. But when it going gets tough, they leave. Listen, these challenges aren't going to end. Every win has to be followed by another win. There's hard work that has to be done between each and every win. And there's going to be losses. That's part of the cost of doing business. It's part of war even. So we have to stand strong. We have to stand firm. So the Texas Supreme Court said, well, Governor Greg, you can't do this. And now the Sunshine Patriots are upset because, well, Governor Greg was on their side this time. We liked what he did. Yes, but he violated liberty principles. You cannot allow that. SCOTUS got it right. I'm sorry, not SCOTUS. Texas, right? The Texas Supreme Court. Texcos, yes. There we go. They got it right. But the same Sunshine Patriots go hand in hand with federal supremacists, right? Oh, if we just run to the federal government, they'll save us. If we just run to the next court, they'll save us. They're not going to save you. They're not concerned about individual sovereignty. They're not concerned about protecting liberty. They're concerned about themselves first and foremost, their compatriots second most, and thirdly, expanding power. They know whom they serve, and it ain't you. It's no mystery to me why the Supreme Court of the United States consistently disappoints us. They consistently stomp on liberty. They consistently stomp on the Constitution, which they're supposed to be upholding. They literally make stuff up, and if they don't like the answer, they just disregard what it says completely because it's inconvenient. And yet we tolerate this. And this is where the lesser magistrates come in. We know that those folks that were naughty on January 6th are still being held, in many cases in solitary confinement. They're not allowed to see their lawyer. They're not allowed to see their family members. They're not getting fair treatment, and they've been convicted of nothing. But if we oppose what's going on, we're the bad guys. We're the traitors. We're the people that are a threat to government. We're the ones that want real government. We're the ones that want appropriate government. We're the ones that defend this country. Yet we're the bad guys. And then these Sunshine Patriots, well, those people, they crossed the line. They were trespassing. They need to just die. No, they don't actually say that. But come on. You know what I'm getting at. They offer no defense. Nothing. This is an example where if we had a governor that had, some intestinal fortitude, had some more spinal strength, would say, hey, Texas Rangers, we have a number of our Texas citizens that are being held without bail for no apparent reason, and they haven't really been charged by anything beyond a misdemeanor, and they've been held for months. Go get them. Rescue them. Take them out. If they're concerned about anything, we will hold them in Texas jail or in Texas confinement. They don't have the authority to hold these people. The state of Florida could do the same thing. The state of South Carolina, the state of, South Dakota, Idaho, Montana. One of these states have a governor do the right thing. These are your people. They're citizens of your state. Maybe they crossed the line. They haven't been convicted of anything, yet they're being held. This is a direct violation of the Constitution. There are multiple amendments in play here, as well as the Constitution as a whole. This is cruel and unusual punishment. This is capricious. This is arbitrary. These people have no business being held for this period of time without being convicted of anything. They're no threat. Give me a break. You want to see what a real insurrection looks like? You want to see what it really looks like when people go in and take over a country? Look to Afghanistan. Look to see what happens when the terrorists, freedom fighters, take over a country. Look to see what happens when they do and they're successful. Now, I don't see a bunch of Democrats being held up to firing squads. I don't see a bunch of people that wear black robes being dragged out. I don't see any of the Alphabet Soup Agency people being held accountable. I don't even see any of the Alphabet Soup people, the self-described people, having any consequences. But I can assure you in Afghanistan, unless you're one of those protected few, that is the outcome you're getting. I am still waiting to see where the real threat was. Somebody show me. We know with a high level of confidence that shenanigans go on in every election. They were particularly egregious and most likely affected the outcome in a number of states to give us President Biden. How's that working for you, America? How's that working for us, Texas? Yeah, apparently, President Trump barely won Collin County. Like I believe that. Now look, I know plenty of people that were anti-Trump or never Trumpers back in 2016, but given your choice between Biden, Sleepy Creepy Joe, and Trump, do you really expect me to believe the narrow margin of victory? Or for that matter, some of our representatives who, quite frankly, have been kind of weak in my expectations, but by and large, the general public are good Republicans. Do you really believe they just got by the hair of their chinny chin chin? Do you believe the demographics have changed that much that the people coming here are voting that high of a percentage? I'm not sure. I have my doubts. But I'm not going to dwell on voter fraud. But this is another case where the Sunshine Patriots have let us down. Oh, there's a little pushback. Oh, we don't believe that. Oh, I might look bad in front of the press. I can't defend what I know is obvious, and what if I just look at it? Now, look. Sunshine Patriots are not all bad. They're nominally on our side. We get real patriots out of them from time to time. We get people that toughen up. We get people that actually find a hill they're willing to die on out of those Sunshine Patriots. But if we depend the entirety of our battle on those folks, we're going to lose. We're doomed to failure. Likewise, the most of us, we go through our lives, we just want to go to work and take care of our family. And I've said this time and time again. We would just like to be left alone. But I got news for you. Those days are over. They aren't going to leave you alone. If that isn't blatantly obvious to you by now, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? Are they going to have to start putting armbands on people? Are they going to have to start going door to door? Are they going to have to start doing stuff to your children before you wake up and get off your butt? The time to fight is now, when you have an ability to win and a reasonable expectation that you will be successful. The time to stand on principle is now, when it can still make a difference. Yeah, it's great. Look at what happened. Lots of people died in China because they stood up at the wrong time. But you know what? They did so as martyrs. They did so as, I guess, heroes. But to what avail? They strengthened the resolve of a small percentage of people, but China's still run by an oligarchy that takes advantage and puts down everybody and everything that opposes them. And it's only a matter of time before they completely destroy the crown of what was Hong Kong. And it's only a matter of time before the boot goes on Taiwan, which is in fact its own independent country because they wanted it that way. Just because you say as China that it's the same country doesn't make it so. Now, that doesn't mean that I encourage you to militarily occupy it, because we all know that eventually is going to happen, or that you'll just undermine it enough to where it capitulates and becomes one with you like you did to Hong Kong. But the reality is, possession's 9/10 of the law. And Texas is still possessed by patriots, by Texians, and by Tejanos that give a darn about what's going on in Texas. And unfortunately, there's a good number of those among our number that are in fact Sunshine Patriots. We're going to have to work with them. We're going to have to harden them. We're going to have to improve them. We're going to have to cause them to get a little spinal injection of stiffness. They're going to have to feel a little pain, perhaps, and not from the jab, but from tyranny. And that's what it's going to take for some of these people to wake up and fight back. Now, I know, this is harsh language. This is tough talk. Stephen, you're being too mean. If not now, when? I asked the question last week. If not now, when? The answer still stands. Now. Now is the time. Seize the day. A little carpe diem. Look, I'm not suggesting that we need to go down to Austin and toss people out. But what I am suggesting is we need to start showing up at those city council meetings, at those school board meetings, at those commissioners' courts meetings. And we need to let them know, hey, we support you. You're doing a great job. Or, hey, this is awful. We hate this. We don't want you to do this. Or, hey, pretty sure that we told you we don't want a bunch more apartments here, or we really don't want to have this rezoned to this. If they don't hear from us, they'll continue to do whatever they want to do that lines their pocketbooks best, or that reinforces their authority best, or that takes care of their friends best. They don't care until you make them care. Now, if you're right of center, or if you're a liberty advocate, I'm telling you, I am warning you. The future is in our grasp. Preventing tyranny is within our control. To some extent, it's already here. To some extent, we already have tyrannical behavior going on right now, both at the local and state level, depending on where you're at. And God forbid we bring in the federal level, but we can make a difference. We can utilize the doctrine of lesser magistrates. We can use peaceful noncompliance. We can use interposition if we will just call for it, if we will just support it. You can't expect the sheriff, and I'm not just singling out the sheriff of Collin County, but any sheriff. You can't expect the sheriff to go out there on his own and tell the feds, not no, but heck no, and I don't give you my blessing nor my permission to do that stuff in my county. No, that's our job. It's our job to let our county sheriff know we got his back, or we got her back, and this is not something we want to tolerate in our county, no matter what the county is. And it's our job to let our governor know, no, we don't want this in our state. We protect liberty in our state. We want the feds to go home. We don't need an outpost of the DC police anywhere in our fine state. We don't need an outpost of any of the alphabet soup agencies in our state. We don't need more tyranny. We don't need more government abuse. We don't need unconstitutional behavior, uncalled for behavior in our state. Lord knows we have enough problems getting the Republicans that are supposed to be conservatives to do the right thing down in Austin. God forbid we have to deal with the Democrats. What we need is liberty-loving people in in those House seats, in the state Senate seats. And I know this is going to sound out of place, but there are Democrats that actually do care about liberty. Now, they may be caring about different liberties than the Republican liberty people are. There are left libertarians. They should run as Democrats. They should be out there protecting property rights, people's rights to own their own thoughts and their own behavior. Will they? I don't know. Those of us that are liberty defenders, those of us that are pro-freedom, we need to be active. We need to be heard. We can't just do it by staying at home and writing an email. We can't just do it by staying at home and writing a letter. Now, I got to tell you, a letter's better than an email, but we need to show up in person. Now, I know that's difficult. We all work. We all have jobs. We have things we need to be doing. We have things that are more important to us than this appears. But again, I'm warning you. What do you think is going to happen when they start telling you how you're supposed to take care of your child? What do you think is going to happen when they start dictating the terms of what you can do in your own house? Oh, I got news for you. They already do both of those. It's just that they're not egregious enough that you've gotten interested in what's going on. Now, hey, if I had my way, I'd just move somewhere where there was no government to be pestering me like this. They'd be the smallest, most inconsequential government there is. They would serve one purpose and one purpose alone: to go stomp on people that interfere with other people's liberty and other people's private property. But I'm also smart enough to know that place does not exist. But I'm going to push with all my might to bring Texas closer to and closer to that model. We deserve to be heard. We need to do the work to be heard. I'm telling you, when you have people that get in positions of influence, that get into elected office, they need to hear from you. They need your support when they do the right thing. Cody Weaver, Chad Green. They need to hear from you when you're disappointed in their behavior, when you think they could have done a better job. Jeff Leach, Scott Sanford, Candy Noble, Justin Holland. Right? We all know their names. Those of us that pay attention. Van Taylor. When you're disappointed, you need to tell them. You don't need to call them names. You don't need to say they're terrible. You don't need to say they don't deserve to represent you. No, you just need to say, hey, you have not lived up to what we sent you there to do. This is what I need from you. If you're not going to do what we, your constituents, want, then we need to talk about remedial action. Draw your own conclusions there. I know this has been a bit of a rant. I know this has been maybe a little edgy. That's not the intent of this conversation. The intent of this conversation is to ignite a little enthusiasm, to cause you to be interested in what's going on in the world around you, to hopefully incite a little bit of action. These people work for us. We need to remind them that an elected position is to represent us. Not the governor, not the state, not their buddies that are lining their pockets. They represent us. That also requires us to find, train, cultivate other people that are willing to step up and run when those people can't or won't do the things that we've asked them to do. We have to find people that are willing to put it on the line to run in a primary. And yes, I know the odds are stacked against us. The odds are definitely not in our favor. But to do nothing is to only get more of the same. It's to beg for failure. It's to acknowledge defeat. We have to do the work. We are morally obligated to do the work. We ought not complain if we're not willing to do our part. We ought not expect somebody else to do it for us. So I know I can hear you out there. But what about me? What about me? Hey, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have kids in a public school, a government indoctrination center, whatever, you know what I mean. If you have your kids there, why aren't you on the school board? Why don't you run for the school board? Why aren't you concerned about what they're being taught? Why aren't you concerned about what the schools are making them do? Why aren't you more involved? Now, my daughters are grown. They're not in the government school anymore. But I'm still concerned about what's happening in the city I live in. I mean, after all, they do take a large sum of money from me each and every year to do what it is that they're doing. So I have a vested interest in how they're spending that money. Hey, you're a retired guy. You've spent 25, 30 years working somewhere, taking care of your family, your children's grown. Maybe you're a lady and you've done the same thing. You're in the twilight of your years. Hey, why don't you invest some of that time? Go to those city council meetings. Go to the county commissioner courts meetings. Take notes of what's said and done. Commentate on it. Tell your friends. Host a coffee. I'm sure there's a whole lot of people that would like to know what exactly is going on. There's nothing wrong with being transparent. There's nothing wrong with holding these people accountable. You have the time. And honestly, if you're retired, most of you have the money. Do it. Take the time. If you don't feel comfortable running for office, I get it. If you're a single parent, gosh, I wish the best for you. You got to raise kids and work and take care of your family. Yeah, but if you got a 2-parent household and one person's fortunate enough to not have to work at all, get involved. Especially if your kids are old enough to take care of themselves. Get involved. There are a ton of political clubs, left, right, and center. Get involved. Hold these people accountable. Actually, I got to tell you, I know plenty of elected officials, and I know some people that aren't even on my side of the aisle, but I know that they would be enthusiastic to have people come alongside them and say, hey, I agree with you on this issue. How can I help you make this work? How can we spread the word? How can we make this happen better? How can we get this thing through? That's the kind of things that we need to be doing. I encourage you, take the time. This is According to Callis, and I will see you on the other side.